Three mere mortals discover their ability to create entire universes with their minds alone. Upon discovering their abilities, these three, gods if you will, join forces to create the Dark and Stormy Nights, a supercharged team of creatives with the aim of helping artists and writers around the world while combating the forces of boredom and mundanity. They are the Dark and Stormy Nights.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back with the Dark and Stormy Nights, and we have already pissed off Tyr, and the story hasn't even begun. Today we're going to talk about the villains of this new story. Oh, I guess I should tell you. The poll ended in a tie, so we, the Knights, put it to our own vote, and it came out 2-1 that we're doing the urban fantasy story. So I'm not going to tell you which two, so you don't get mad at one of us in particular.
We're also not abandoning any storylines.
Or two of us.
We like
if they wanted a sequel.
Yeah,
we like the idea of following up with sequels.
Yes, we will probably come back and do that sequel later, but this sounded like fun. A little change of pace is always nice to keep things fresh.
Because we're doing a podcast, keep in mind this isn't something we would recommend for your strategy as just a typical author who's not podcasting your work. I think that it's probably best to stick with your series and get as many of those books out as you can. Just from a sales perspective, it's probably smarter to do it that way.
Yeah, I suppose. But, I mean, eventually you end up with burnout. I've seen a lot of authors who write chronicles eventually, 6 books in or so, start going, and in a whole different setting, everyone's like, I don't care about that.
Yeah, or the story just sounds like crap at this point. And
Yeah,
like
you
look,
probably should be ending your chronicle.
Yeah,
at that point.
I know. You don't want to be here any more than I do anymore.
Well, that's fine. And I'm not talking about 12 books later. You need to worry about keep pumping them out. I'm saying at least your first few. You probably want to get out, before you start a new series.
And
like
Gandalf
3.
said to Frodo, "Kill me."
Keep in mind that I don't follow my own advice, and I've already started a second series, but that's the rumor.
I miss that meme.
That's the rumor, as it's better to do it that way. And we are going to go against that advice.
Well, look, we can come back and do the sequel, and that's fine. I just felt like I think this will be good. I think it'll be good for a little change of pace. We'll come back, maybe we'll feel that story even more, after we have a little break. I like the idea of this urban fantasy. We don't know a lot about our characters yet. And before we define our hero, I think it'd be great to define this villain.
I think that needs to happen in order for us to go any further.
And we all disagree.
I really have very few thoughts of who he actually is and what his actual agenda is. I know where I'd like him to go in the story and what he's up to.
The hero
The
or
villain?
the villain?
Yeah, the villain.
I think the villain's a girl.
Okay. I don't care. I didn't see it that way, but sure.
But I don't know that the villain's a villain in my concept.
Okay, what's your concept?
Well, like I said,
She doesn't think she's a villain?
Yeah, no. She thinks that the council that our main character works for is the villain. And she's trying to take them down. She sees them as oppressors of the creatures that go bump in the night.
Okay, so it's sort of like the, I can't remember what the hell they call them in Harry Potter, but that whole council is like, oh, you can't do black magic and all that stuff. And they're like, how dare you tell me what to do?
Right.
We're not muggles.
Well, first off, I don't think all the demons and fae and everything like that are bad things. I think there are bad things out there, but I don't think most of them are. And the idea that we can just go around telling them, how they can and can't live or what have you is a little ridiculous to me. I don't think that we have that right as a singular governmental body that nobody else agreed to,
Right, but I do see the need for an organization like the Combine. Now, it might be corrupt. It might be wrong. I don't know. But, I mean, you need someone to set a standard or you're just going to have anarchy.
Maybe, but I think that this villain in particular sees it as who gave you the right,
Well, I'm sure that's self-appointed, but...
So, but yeah, that's where I'm going with it. And I think that the whole concept is that I'm not even sure that they realize that they're sending the main character after her. You know what I'm saying? I think that there is something causing problems in the world, and they're like, go figure this out and put an end to it.
Okay.
And it's her,
So
I mean, at the same time, that makes it kind of hard to put a bounty on somebody. And that's the whole objective, is he needs to want to get the big bad to get this bounty.
Well, I think that maybe it's something killing the sorcerers in the Combine.
Well, I was just thinking,
You
okay,
put a bounty on that?
before we came on
Can't
air,
you?
we were having a whole
Can
argument, and the whole idea was that Loki and I thought was interesting. The details we had different, but was that there would be a villain, and then after you catch the villain, it turns out, oh, there's a bigger villain or a real villain or whatever. So what we were just talking about here, there's an easy solution, sort of like with the Sith, the Darth Vader or whatever. There's always a student.
Yeah. So
There's
that
always
was
the
my thought,
obvious
though,
one.
is that she has conjured some kind of monster, or there is a monster
Or
that
human
she's
agent even.
manipulating, or something that is killing them, but it's her behind that creature killing off the sorcerers
Right,
in the
and
Combine.
so the bounty could be on that person or creature.
Yeah, that's true. It could be on the creature itself.
And they may not know that there's someone steering it.
Sure, yeah. I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, but there's a movie called Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Although that was a long time
It was a
ago.
really good movie, but it was in French, and it was a really good movie. And that's the whole idea: is there's this nightmarish thing hunting people in the French countryside or whatever, and it ends, and they think it's some supernatural thing, and really in the end, it's some guy who trained a lion. So,
And I just realized how old I am because that was a letterbox cassette.
I had it on DVD, but
Was it re-released?
no, this is original, but it's not that old. I don't know. I thought it was a great story, but yeah, I don't see why this couldn't be that story, but with actual supernatural things. That story had alluded to supernatural things that didn't exist. That in the end there was a scientific explanation. I'm not suggesting a scientific explanation. I'm suggesting another layer of supernatural explanation.
Sure.
You take off Frankenstein's head and find out it's a ghost. So.
I'm not opposed to any of that. I think that is fine. That doesn't, screw up the whole circle like some of the other,
Right, so he
thoughts
could
were.
turn in whatever the monster is and get the
Right.
bounty. And
But
then,
that monster has to be like the big bad that nobody else could get. So it's not like
yeah, but okay, so do we say, though, that he knows that this isn't the real problem?
I think
when
that maybe
takes it
he
down?
figures it out when he takes it down.
I
And he's
think-
like, I don't care. I'm going to get out of here. I'm retiring. And then they're like, hey, you're not retiring. And he's like, fuck. And then he still has to
Well,
deal with the other.
Maybe something else.
Then he has to deal with the fact that he pissed off the real villain.
Or maybe he kills it and takes it in or whatever, and then something else starts killing them. It's like one's done. And
Maybe he kills it and takes it in, and they're like, yeah, that's not good enough. Where's the puppet master? And then he doesn't get the bounty.
like that type of creature doesn't work without a puppet master. Maybe, I don't know.
You did half the job.
Or they can sense the magic on it or something. I don't know.
Something where they're like, okay, that's half of it. Where's the rest? And he has to find.
I
them.
guess like this guild of sorcerers be able to pick up on like magic manipulation, right?
Right, but if it does trace back to one of their own, he would not be sanctioned or cleared to deal with that.
Well, that's what I'm wondering is if they wouldn't pair him up with somebody who is
Wait, are you saying
sanctioned.
she is one of them of the council?
I don't know, but she definitely believes the council themselves are bad guys.
Then
She's
she
gotta
wouldn't
be,
a
like-
part of it.
Well, she could be inside and doing this from the
Or-
outside.
And I'm saying if she is inside the council and they put a bounty on her and her monster, then she's kind of an incompetent villain.
Or she's
no,
just
I'm saying that they don't know it's her if she is inside.
Great. Is she a part of this inside? Because then wouldn't she be able to talk them out of putting a bounty on herself?
Okay, so imagine you are a member of the Trump administration and said to the Trump administration, hey, maybe we should stop doing evil things. You've just put your life in grave
I would
danger.
be put out of the Trump administration.
You'd
so
be
that
killed.
would be the end of that.
You'd be killed.
Okay, let me put this in less divisive terms, because you're asking how are you part of the world and not part of the council, and it's simple. She may
No,
not
that's
work.
not what I was saying.
Well,
But go ahead.
I'm saying she may not work there. She might just be like a Malfoy, some rich, established family that's well connected to the
No.
Combine.
No, rich people don't do the right thing.
What are you talking
Are
about?
we saying she's doing the right thing? Who's
By
she killing
taking
with
out
this monster?
sorcerers
Is she killing with an agenda?
to end the tyrannical rule of the Combine.
So she's trying to kill people in the Combine.
Yeah, how's that a good thing?
Well, in her eyes, that the Fae and demonics are being oppressed.
Yeah, I get that. Okay.
So what's the thought behind this? That our bounty hunter is going to change loyalties at the end of the book?
That depends on her argument. I don't know that he will or won't. Maybe it could end up in some epic, like, fucking battle between the bounty hunters and
So the
and her
concept is that
minions. I don't care.
he's working for the bad guy.
we can go John Wick on this shit.
Okay. Now this is a little bit of character building, But now that you've asked the question, I've had a thought. So now I
Uh-oh.
feel like I'm fleshing out a character.
Get your X-Lax.
Well, we can argue, whatever. But I feel like he's very black and white. Like he can see shades of gray. He understands that the world is nuanced. But when it comes to doing things, it's just you're either on this side or this side. And if you got to do an action, just fucking do it.
So he's
Shit
not-
or get off the pot.
So
That's
he's not
who
very
he is.
smart.
Huh?
So he's not very smart.
I'm saying
That's how
he's
I
a
feel.
reactionary shooter.
I feel like
I
if
mean-
we're gonna say that he's working for somebody, and it takes him the entire book, and he still isn't convinced that they're not good. If this is the direction you're going, where you're saying the council's the bad guy, I mean, if by the end of the book, he deserves whatever happens to him.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't get nuance, you're an idiot.
I'm not saying he can't. I'm saying he understands that the world is filled with shades of gray. It's just for him, things are black and white. He simplifies things to the simplest terms so that he can react. He's not Greek. He's not a philosophizer. He's a Roman. He does action.
Okay, that makes you a villain.
Or Riggs and Murdoch.
I'm not saying that she is the better side of this. Don't get me wrong. For her thought of this is that she's the good guy. You know, just like I'm sure members of the council, members of the Combine, believe they are the good guys, while our hero, for the moment, just thinks he's earning a paycheck. You know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's a bit of a mercenary.
But I think that
I think that you're making it difficult for the reader to know what they even want out of this story. And if they're not rooting for anybody, then why are they going to keep reading?
well, I think he gets thrown into something.
I think he's charismatic in his own gruff way.
That's not enough. There needs to be somebody for your reader to latch onto. And right now, you're kind of making it to where you don't even know who to root for.
It's Kumar.
The pizza guy, yeah.
For fuck's sake.
No?
I don't know. Anyways, the fact of the matter is I think that our hero, not a hero in the beginning, would be forced to choose what is right and what is wrong. And it is okay when new information is introduced to change your mind on these things.
Oh, yeah.
That's
No, I didn't
fine.
say he couldn't do
but
that.
before our hero can make that decision, you need to make that decision.
But you're saying, but you can't make that decision fully without all the information.
I'm saying when you present him with information, he immediately reacts. He doesn't go, when he's in the scenario and there's something to do and new stimuli is thrown his way, he's going to make a choice and he's going to commit, right or wrong.
It's like a Dark Sun half giant.
I'm putting this in simple terms. Obviously, it's never.
The minute the most charismatic person walks in the room, he latches onto that.
Okay, yeah, I'm not quite. I'm just conveying a concept. I'm not like saying that
No,
he
I know.
lives in a state.
There's no loyalty that way. I kind of get what you're saying, but like, I don't know.
It's like a soldier who just reacts because that's all you can do.
I don't think that's entirely what he is, though. Look, because you're saying, with your idea that every monster would be black and white, it's some kind of existential threat to the world.
Well, if it's flipping
Whereas
cars, yes.
I think some of these things, no, I think that happens, but I don't think it's the vast majority of things. I do think that there are things that you have to investigate and figure out, and you couldn't do that if...
Okay, here's my problem with all of this. We made our character old.
So
he's been around the block with this council multiple times over. So many times over that he's fucking sick of everybody and every human being and every non-human being that he's ever had to deal with, and he wants to go live in isolation in retirement.
Briggs from... Briggs from Lethal Weapon. We got it.
Wasn't it Murtaugh?
Was it Murtaugh?
Yeah.
I honestly do not remember.
Anyway, so the bottom line is that if there
Too old
was
for this
if
shit.
there was this stuff to figure out about the council, he should know it by now.
No.
That's my thought.
How can you know such a lofty thing? We said they teleport in when they're needed.
Yeah,
Like
he's
they
just a
walk
hired
into the
gun.
back
You're
room
saying
door.
that these jobs he takes, right, are usually against the supernatural creatures. If he was killing innocent people, don't you think he'd know by now?
No, I don't think it.
I don't want to piss people off with that
I
answer.
don't know how we keep getting sidetracked on this. I don't think the Combine's evil. I think that it is.
We were just suggesting that the villain is the good guy and the Combine
No,
is
no.
evil.
The villain thinks of himself as a good guy.
So, okay,
The villain is not a good person. It's a villain.
you know what? I see the problem here, and I see why this isn't coming across, and it's because I see things in the world differently than I think both of you guys do.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people may disagree with me on this stuff too. In fact, I just got into a fight today or yesterday that had to do with the Iran Contras versus the freedom fighters on the other side. And because Bernie had gone down there, and these people who are against the Contras and stuff like that were saying death to America and stuff like that. The truth of the matter was, though, the Contras, who are funded by America, were the bad guys. But the average person is going to automatically say America's the good guy. And that isn't always true.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I get that point. How does it not bring it back home relating to the story? What are we saying?
That these organizations, these regulating agencies, and in this case, the Combine, are not always good guys.
Yeah.
In fact, they do many evil things in the name of power and not necessarily in the name of righteousness.
But I don't think they're inherently just blanketly
Nothing
evil.
is blanketly evil except
Right.
for blanket evil on its own. Nothing works like that in all of the fucking universe.
Okay.
Nothing.
I-
The
I-
werewolf
Oh
is
my
killing
God.
because it's hungry.
People.
I don't disagree with any of this. So what's
For
your point?
fuck's sake, I do. In a story, I disagree with this. It can't be this way. You either have to make your good guy good, or you have to make your bad guy bad. And I don't care if the other one is somewhat neutral, but you got to pick one, and you got to make it either a clear evil or a clear good, or otherwise your reader is just going to be confused, and they're not going to latch on to anybody, and they're going to close your book before they even get into it.
I disagree.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I agree with both these points. The world is gray. Any number of organizations facing off against each other can be argued to be good or bad. But yes, for story purposes, yes.
No,
And
it is not an unpopular plot device to have it turn out that the person you thought was the good guy all along is the fucking bad guy.
That's fine, but you need to define this so that your good
But
guy is literally looking
existentially bad, like what is it? Avatar, the blue people, not the last Airbender. Okay, in the one with the blue people.
Yeah, the
or
cat
whatever.
people.
At first, you think that the blue people are good guys or at least decent guys or whatever, and they're willing to do well. And then all of a sudden, it turns out they just want to kill everybody for the stupid ore with the dumbest fucking name ever. Okay, like
Wait, what?
Were the blue aliens not good?
no, the blue aliens were fine. What I'm saying is that
I was gonna say,
at
where are you
first-
going with this?
at first it seems like that the humans are willing to make deals or whatever like that, and then they're not. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, unobtainium. by the
Right.
way.
So it turns out, I mean, we never thought the humans were entirely good, but that's the thing. You can't think that the Combine is good people to begin with.
It doesn't matter. You just have to make them good enough to where our hero is not a villain.
Yeah, no, I think overall it's a organization that means well for humanity, but is also powerful and therefore has corrupt elements.
Yes, that's fine. Susceptible to corruption.
Yeah.
Of course. Then your villain needs to be villainous.
I don't think it's an angel. It's just like magical FBI. I mean,
Are people so stupid that we can't introduce nuance? And
I did not in the first book, right in the first chapter.
Listen,
I think you
can,
build up.
but you
build
need to
up.
make it clear who they're fucking rooting for.
I do agree.
You're
You don't
rooting-
want to muddy the water on page
you're
one.
rooting for the gruff old man who
Is
grows
working
as a
for
being.
the Combine.
He isn't the Combine, though.
So look, if you're
He
trying
has
to
somebody
define
who's working for him and realizes once he realizes that they're bad, either turns on them or realizes that
I feel like he's still going to keep working.
or he realizes that
you
the
guys need to
person
make those decisions now.
or he realizes that the person who thinks they're the good guy is just batshit insane and stays with the okay guys he's with.
That's kind of my feel.
I'm fine with them being just okay guys, but then you need to define your villain as a villain.
I don't think it's always so black and white. For instance, Magneto's not a villain.
No, I agree with you. Magneto's not a villain, but Professor X is clearly the good guy. Very
Okay,
clearly.
so what you're saying
very,
is
very clearly.
They don't all have to wear white and black hats, but one of them has to wear one of
One
the
of
hats.
them has to give you the clear idea of what you're hoping for.
So we can't handle 2 shades of gray.
How do you know what you even want to happen with the story if you're throwing nothing but gray
Well,
at
that
the
you
reader?
have to decide.
Do you
have to
really want a
decide-
gray story?
You have
Nothing
to
but
decide
gray.
that do we want a bland normal world, or do we want the fae and demon people to have
I'm
some
out.
freedom?
Do what you like.
What do
Plot
we
it out.
want?
Plot it out, my friend. Plot it out.
I don't see it as big of a problem because I do feel like with the spotlight on the hero, he's default the hero.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is the hero defines what's good or bad.
as long as he's likable, that's really the important part.
We have 2 factions and a guy in the middle. I don't know if like Lost Girl with the light fade and the dark fade.
That's fine. You guys you're rewriting the story circle, and that's fine too.
The story circle applies to your good guy, to your main character. Okay.
Yes, and your main
The main
character works
character's
for the
gotta
Combine, and his main objective has to do
No,
with
he
them.
works for himself. The Combine is one of the factors in his life. He either chooses to be with them or chooses to be against them in the end.
That's not what your story circle says.
So, well, for now.
I mean,
Then change it.
Are you saying that your story circle never evolves as you?
It might, but then you need to fucking change it.
I don't
Because
know. I don't know what you
this
have as
main
notes, so I
this
don't know how it
factor
violates.
comes
All right.
up at the beginning. What does your hero want? And if it's not the bounty, then you need to change it.
We'll be back in a minute, and hopefully this is resolved.
Tier requires tribute. Sacrifice may be made in the form of likes, ratings, and comments at the Dark and Stormy K1 on Twitter, the darkandStormyNights.home.blog, or at Podbean, iTunes, or Google Play Music.
All right, now we're on. Haha. Hi. So I lost, and they won.
Sorta. I mean,
There's no winners here. I'm pretty sure.
you wanted a nuanced gray versus gray, flip who's good and evil, and then like maybe reevaluate it from
Look.
book to book. And
The truth of the matter is,
Tier wanted a more objective, more obvious good and bad. And
No, no,
I'm somewhere in
I
the middle.
just wanted one of them defined.
when you
One.
analyze the collective IQ of human beings, Tier is right. We need simple.
You
Marketing
could
matters.
Not be a dick. I mean, that's
So-
an option. Anyway.
I like
No, the point was just that that I wanted this to be defined as either your Combine, who maybe has a little too much authority, or,
Oh, yeah.
or a lot too much authority,
as I like to call them, magic Nazis.
is the bad guy, or your people who want basically complete anarchy amongst the magic beings are your bad guys,
Well, they just want no oppressor.
which
right,
leads
but that
to anarchy.
leaves humans completely vulnerable.
As it stands, the Combine is currently in charge and putting bounties on anybody who threatens to expose the truth to humans, which means it, in essence, protects humanity in some small way.
And drag you off the gulag.
That's kind of the thing. Is like, yeah, they do good, but who appointed
not
them?
s-
But
Yeah,
who
I'm
else
not
is
saying-
who else is a good guy in the scenario?
Right,
I mean,
and I'm not saying the Combine is completely good at all. What I'm saying is they're the better option.
honestly, I
And
think
as long as we've defined our villain as a villain, I am good with that.
I think our greatest good is actually our reluctant hero. Because
Yes, I
he's
agree.
gruff, he's too old for this shit, he doesn't want to get involved, he doesn't take sides or whatever, it's just a job.
They're not
But
good.
honestly,
Actually, beyond that,
I think he is a good guy, and when he's forced with these choices, he usually chooses good.
I would
mean,
like him to
he tips
lean
18%.
He leans towards the side of good, but honestly, I think our true good, the real light, the true pointing north here, is going to be the pizza guy.
Yeah, you think so?
Oh yeah, because it's gonna.
Is he the one who gets him to tip 20 instead of 18%?
Yeah, I think
No.
maybe that's it.
I think he tips 20 out of laziness because it's easier math.
That's true.
Anyways.
Unless he has a modern cell phone.
Okay.
I don't know.
Or he just
So
gives
so
everybody
my
$5.
concept of this bad guy was shot down. Give me the better, more clearly defined bad guy then.
No, your bad guy's fine.
What?
I'm just saying you define the villain more, like absolutely keep going with it. I'm just saying, as the authors, we need to know who the bad guy is in order to write the story.
Okay, all Tier wanted you to do was to cast a moral judgment from a point of view of God.
Yes.
Not take away the fact that the villain thinks of themselves as a hero.
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm
Okay.
totally good with the villain thinking of themselves as a hero.
But Comrade Bad Guy is a good guy.
What?
Anyways.
The world's a
Fine.
messed up place. I
Okay,
don't know what to tell you.
Fine. They're the bad guy. Whatever.
At least in this book.
So you don't oppose the idea that it is actually some monster killing off the Combine that somebody else has summoned. You don't have a problem with that part?
Are you saying all sorcerers are the Combine?
I'm saying it's like a guild of sorcerers.
Oh, I think that if
Okay.
you're not, you're a renegade, and they're not going to put up with that crap.
I'm not opposed to the
No.
idea that they might send bounties on other powerful sorcerers.
Maybe they're the most powerful sorcerers. They have like their own coven. Coven's probably not the right word for that, but like they're the ones in charge just because they're the oldest and they have the most power. And so that leaves us room to have sorcerers outside of the guild.
Maybe, but I mean, like the really old, wizened wizard type guy, he's not going to get involved in
Like-
politics.
like
That's young people crap.
Gandalf got involved.
I made 100 years old. I don't care about your petty human policies.
Gandalf got involved.
Well, I mean, it was the end of the world. Plus,
You're saying Gandalf wouldn't have gotten involved if it wasn't the end
technically
of the world?
Gandalf's a god.
Tell
I
that to
really hate
Bilbo.
that. He's our wizard archetype, and if you actually look into Lord of the Rings, he's not even a wizard because those don't exist in that realm. It's ridiculous.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I know. It's like Dune. Don't ever read past the second book.
Anyway.
It's very disappointing.
Anyway, so anyway, that was my thought, is that maybe this is a sect of sorcerers, like a group, and
Well,
They're just
powerful
the
enough
most
to
powerful?
keep the order
yes,
through their Nazi-like rule.
yes.
But
Are you not going to be happy unless we flip the?
no, it'll be what it'll be. I'll get over it.
No,
So,
I
was beaten in the vote. so
I
it'll be what it'll be.
agree that a Magneto-like villain is awesome if you can write him, and if you can make all the justification and make
Okay.
not just the reader
So
but the
do
main
we
character
like,
question.
Do
Hell
we,
yeah!
Do we like this villain who thinks they're a good guy being Fae themselves and female?
I'm fine with it.
Sure. Okay.
Um,
I wanted to make them powerful enough to stand up to a sorcerer toe to toe.
Can we make them like part face so that like they could pass for human, so that nobody knows that why that's
Fae
in their
can
agenda?
pass as human.
Huh?
Fae can pass
Fae
as
can
human.
pass as human.
I don't know. They got pointy ears or funny
Well, she-
blue skin. I don't know
Most
what
of
the
them
hell.
have
they
like a glamour or something
I
that'll
don't
hide
know.
that.
what are the rules of our universe?
She
We
can
already
have
talked-
blue skin and pointy ears, but she has a glamour that makes her look human.
Okay.
We already said that most creatures have the ability to purchase a glamour.
My
at
point
minimum.
is that if its motivation is more secret, then the villain's less obvious to the Combine. That was all.
Well, I think the Combine probably made has done things or whatever in the world to cover up the existence of Fae. So I think
to humans or to the magic users.
to the magic users, like the werewolves and everything else like that, like street lights might all be enchanted, so that the light they cast makes a Fae being look human or like something else.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know what I'm saying? So that we don't know they're
For
even
what
there.
purpose? Oh, because they rival
Oh,
sorcerers in
I
power.
can write that. That's fun. Hold on a second.
Well, I already said this. It looks like some shambling fat guy who's like some shambling drunk fat guy.
Right, but we were just saying that these different creatures have the ability to do this to themselves.
Yeah, but
Or
why?
to purchase because if you expose yourself to humans, the Combine will put a bounty on your
But
head.
that takes a certain power. Like it
you
might
can
drain them.
purchase it.
No. What I was saying is I kind of like the enchanted streetlight kind of thing because what I was saying was like you ever hear like people talk about like they see shadow people in the corner of their eyes or they see some furtive movement. They think there's some there and they look and there's nothing there. Well, it'd be kind of interesting if like in the darkness it's a one creature and then once it gets in light like oh it's just an ugly human. Never mind. Like that kind of questioning is kind of fun. I don't know. That could be fun to write. We don't have to. That's just.
I mean, they're
I-
trying to keep the existence of Fae beings a secret. They don't want humans to know about them.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying they enchanted streetlights. And it doesn't even have to be anything special. You could enchant the bulbs at the bulb.
That's fine. I just think that most creatures would have something to conceal their true identities. That way werewolves can walk around in the street, like we said, chasing our guy down a city street.
Sure, and in streetlights you're safe. Outside of streetlights, unless they have that glamour.
So you're saying when the werewolf hits a non-lit section, he's exposed to humans.
Yeah, but
Unless
it's already
he has
dark.
unless he has that glamour on his own. You know what I'm saying? So unless he purchased that glamour like you were talking about, and he walks into the bar or whatever.
Well, I
you know?
mean, he can already turn human, so.
Right, except for at the full moon when he might be out of
Well,
control.
but that's the point, is he can be big and strong and hairy and chasing somebody with his glamour in place.
Yeah, I like the glamour thing, but maybe not everybody has that power. Maybe it's.
We didn't say that everybody would have that power. We said they could purchase it, and that would allow them to walk amongst humans.
Oh, you mean like some sort
So
of
say, like-
buying stuff from the Combine
Say
itself.
like the alpha has the ability to purchase this, but like his little underlings have to stay on pack lands when they have no choice but to be furry. That kind of thing.
Okay.
So this gets us away from the big bad.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
need to define the villain.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it is a Fae female of some power, of some decent power, who has a problem with the Combine controlling the way Fae live. So I don't care what she is. She could be powerful. I think it's too easy to fall on a Morgan Le Fay character or something like that.
Now, what do you mean by that?
What do you mean?
What do you mean by a Morgan Le Fay? I mean, it's already a magic user. It's already a female. So what are you saying? Evil and hot? What are you
I'm
trying-
saying it's too easy to fall on some legendary person.
Oh, God, no. Let's not do that. I
Yeah.
hate that she's...
So
Crap.
that's what I'm saying. That's too simple. But I don't know, a fairy queen. You know,
I mean...
what can she be? What is she besides I don't want to be too derivative or anything like that.
I don't want to call her Maeve or Mauve or whatever. I mean, just
Yeah,
make up
that's
a
what
new
I'm saying. I
name.
don't
Make up
want-
a new name.
No, but okay, that's fine. We can make up.
It doesn't have to be Titiana or whatever.
Yeah, her
The
name's
that
her-
person can be dead.
Her name's Stephanie. That's fine. So, you know, but yeah, why is she powerful? What is her species? You know.
So let's figure out what we know about the Fae, and maybe we can deduct from there what we want to do.
Well, that
Because,
was
like,
what I wanted to
truly
get into,
the things that
'cause-
I know about the Fae are like the light and dark,
Yeah.
or the different season courts or whatever. it
Summer
is.
court, winter court,
Oh, what do they
Seelie,
call?
Unseelie.
Yeah, the Sealy and Unsealy.
And then
yeah.
I know the hunt, that hunt where they.
Oh, the wild hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of... there's just a couple of different cultures that overlap.
I don't care if she's a demon, by the way. She could be a demon that's here too. The
Well-
only difference I think is demons might need passports.
Well, what I was going to suggest is that it'd be good to be half Fae so that there's no world she belongs in. Because if she's full on Fae, why don't she just leave?
That's
Is there a
true.
reason she can't go home?
Well, I think there
Maybe
are.
she's a changeling.
Well, I also think there are places here
That's
that are
interesting.
so close to the veil that they're one and the same. You know, they're both sides of the veil at the same time.
So her native state is actually right
On-
on a liminal space.
She lives in a border town. Yeah.
Interesting.
Which would be interesting if we made it both physically and
An
metaphysically.
But-
urban city that's also in Fae.
Yeah, like a San Antonio, or like right on the border or something like that of America and Mexico, but also right on the border of Faye and.
Now, I don't know if you said one way or another if you care. Do you mind if she's half? Because I think that's interesting. That
Give me
it
a
would
good
be-
reason. Give me something.
because
What is
I-
she? What is
because-
she? What is she?
Well, just human and some sort of elf.
And what? An elf?
What you could. But there's thousands of breeds of elf you can choose from. But my point being is that then it's like, then she doesn't belong in one world or another. So like she's like has to rediscover a culture that she was always denied or any of that. There's some I don't know growth there. There's some complexity that could be
I
fun.
feel like elves are so hoity-toity.
Well, that's
They
how they're
are.
often built. But the reason is because they're immortal, and so you just assume that they're going to see themselves as superior.
Okay, how about this? What if she is the daughter of the Unseelie queen, but she's half human, and so she was exiled from Fae because the queen couldn't possibly have a half-breed in her, you know, as her child. So she threw her out of the kingdom so that she wouldn't have to acknowledge the fact
And we can
that...
call her Persephone.
Well, that's actually not bad. I kind of recoil from doing the whole royalty thing because it's so done.
it
But
doesn't have to be royalty,
but
literally.
but
like,
if you were to do that,
I
there
just figured
is a reason
royalty would
to
matter.
kick them out without even the half issue. But the is that anybody who's close to you in lineage could take over the throne. It becomes a threat. I mean, you know, it's all Mary Queen of Scots and all that.
But don't you feel like if that was the case, she would be trying to get back into Fae to take over the throne as opposed to trying to take over the city?
If that's what you wanted.
Maybe she needs some big conquest before she can return home.
Unless this is, like you're saying, that like her native realm is right here, right in the middle, which is basically
Then
Earthside.
Queen Mama would be here somewhere too.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I don't know.
So is that mean she is half elven female, and or like the mother's elven female and the father is human male?
Yes.
I guess in that
Then,
scenario.
And then when she
by
had the
her
little oopsie
rules,
child.
her rightful reign would be over humans, not over elves.
What do you mean?
The human father would give her reign over humans. If
Wow.
if she had an elven father, it would give her reign over elves.
Why? Why
Well,
would
it's
she
just
be?
royalty rights? That's what I want to say.
Her dad's not royal.
Right, but
Hmm.
if she had a brother, he would have the right over the elves.
So you're saying she's not entitled to the throne of her mother?
That's sexism.
I don't know if that extended to them. I'm trying to think if they're a matriarchal or a patriarchal society.
I've always
Well,
seen queens.
we
in
can
the
always
elf
But that's because they
society.
conflate them with the gods of that realm, which they are. If you follow the Celts, Tuatha are both these human-like gods
Right.
and these elf-like beings.
That's true.
So
Okay,
if you
so if
follow
you made her a
that-
Tuatha, we'd have to give her some kind of godlike power.
But that's what I'm saying. You have that whole.
What
triple
if,
thing.
her, like we said, her mom was queen in the Fae realm, and she's half human, and so she's decided that because her mother is royalty, she's entitled to rule over this city, that it's hers, and therefore she wants to take power from the Combine.
That makes her a much bigger prick than I was making her, but
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So
it does.
you're basically saying is like, okay, my mom has this whole this whole kingdom, and I have this small little fiefdom on human turf, and I'm going to claim it as mine. You know, like because
She's
by
saying
by
she's,
right
she's
of her
royalty.
humanness.
This is she's royalty. This is her realm. This is her.
so
city.
we're gonna make to where she has to take on the most powerful or like the ruling faction here in order to take it over.
That was my suggestion.
Okay,
I
see,
mean, it
this
doesn't
is-
have to be something that we do, but
This is mildly interesting because
the Combine would be the only thing standing in her way of ruling the city.
And the
she's
mayor.
not as villainous, but she is more selfish, which is interesting. Because now she actually has a legal right. She could argue.
By elven law.
Yeah, I get it.
We don't
What if
recognize
she
it here.
seduces
Okay.
the mayor?
Is it any different than the BS that the Caucasian Americans did to the Native Americans with the land
Very
treaties? And,
true.
okay, it's very similar to that. So what I'm saying is, in her estimation, she has a legal claim to this land, and she just wants to liberate everyone under her rule. Still a villain, sure, but mostly because that's more selfish and myopic than it was before. But it's a
more-
little more justifiable too.
Two-dimensional, I think, but
Okay, so what is her goal? What is her?
I
You're still going for anarchy.
I don't know.
Unless she rebels against her whole rulership herself.
Yeah, I mean, with the birthright thing, that's probably the most logical step. You know,
Maybe
So-
instead of saying that she should rule the city, she just decides that because she is half royalty, she won't have anybody else ruling over her, and that's her motive for freeing the city from the oppressive rule of the Combine. Not that she wants to rule, but that nobody should be ruling over her. She's a half princess.
So she'll claim this kingdom so that nobody claims it.
She's not going to claim the kingdom. She is just refusing to bow down because she is royalty. No? Still no?
it's fine. We can work with it. I don't think we're ever going to reach 100% satisfaction. There's 3 different people with 3 different
I know
ideas how this is going to work.
it's
Was not this difficult for the steampunk
there's
comedy.
there's going to be compromise. So, well, this is a little more modern day.
It
Things
is.
a little different. We have some
I mean, I'm not in love
current
with the Fae
events
thing, but-
tensions. What do you mean, her being Faye?
Oh, just Fae in general.
What were you thinking?
No, I'm fine with. I'm just saying, like, Fae stories in general aren't usually what grab my attention.
We can do demons.
I love demons, but I usually like
There's-
to make them the bad guy. I mean, the
There's-
good guy. So
oh, she wants to flip
But
the
then,
script.
okay, then you have my story.
I still
and
don't
all
think
our
it works.
progress lost.
Yeah, exactly. Back to the beginning.
I don't have a problem with it being demons and then taking my story where the Combine are the bad guys and the demon is the good person. By the way, S8N on
Yeah, I saw
was
that.
banned, yeah.
Not cool. Satan on Twitter was banned. Like, is he gone, or is he just?
We don't speak of it.
Oh,
So
that's terrible.
even God is mad.
He was hilarious.
Okay.
So but
Anyway.
anyways, I think it's prejudice, but we'll move past it.
Yeah. Okay. So, are you going to further define? Is she an elf?
No, I don't care. Like I said, I don't care if she's a demon. That's fine. That sounds fun.
I don't know why she has to be anything, but whatever.
Do you
Okay,
wanna make
so
her-
she's a nothing.
Well, she can't be human
Why not?
because then she wouldn't know about any of this.
Well, she could be somebody as
Unless she's about.
a
what if
child.
she's
She found out about them and she wants to be
was
one.
a bounty hunter,
And
and now
she thinks it's wrong.
she's gone rogue.
She's a vegan.
What the fuck does that have to do with anything?
We don't eat monsters.
Did we eat monsters before?
You don't know.
Anyway, no to the rogue bounty hunter.
I don't know. That sounds fine. Do you give me give me a storyline?
Honestly,
How
there's
does this
so
work?
many different ways you can go with this. Like, just for an example, Mr. Freeze was one of the lamest villains ever until
Batman?
until Batman the Animated Series made him beautiful.
Well, because you gave him a storyline where he was the good guy.
Right, and
Well,
this
kind of a
music
good guy.
score helped and everything, and the way it was shot, it was
music
very
score?
well done. No, it was
the
done.
music score.
That was that cartoon was amazing. But at any rate, point being, is that you were originally talking about how she rebelled against the restrictions of the Combine, of how it limited certain freedoms. Some of that could be just magical research. Maybe she's trying to save someone or resurrect someone. I mean, that could be considered blood magic or something. Who knows?
I'm not against it. It's not terrible.
Maybe she missed someone who died. I don't know.
So maybe they're not completely bad, but because they won't allow something she sees as necessary, they are bad to her.
Right. So she's gonna remove the obstacle to her accomplishing what she needs to do.
You know what? I say we come back in a minute and we discuss this. You might be onto something.
Okay.
Hey dames and knights, Loki requires attention to survive. We feed him your likes and comments, so go show some love at the Dark and Stormy K1 on Twitter, thedarkandstormyknights.home.blog, or you can find us at Podbean, iTunes, or Google Play Music.
Love me.
Love me.
Love.
Okay. I think we are partially in agreement.
Yeah, we
Almost
actually
have a
seem to like it.
compromise here.
Yeah. Okay. So there are two-part bad guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is the soldier villain, and there's the brain,
Correct.
right? Tell us about the soldier villain.
Me?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so we talked about the potential of evil children. And we figured maybe we would change the whole changeling concept to fit our story. And you know what? I think that you guys kind of had the backstory of how this happened a little bit better. So why don't you explain why evil children?
Okay. Well, I had suggested that maybe, because Tyr kept bringing up this the changeling concepts, which if you're not familiar, it's the whole idea of like elves come over, they steal our human babies for some reason, and then leave our
Swap 'em out.
and they leave their elven babies to pass off as human. And we were saying it was so they can establish residency and control in this world. Well, and eventually that cat
Anchor babies.
I'm sorry.
Anchor babies.
Yeah, and it got so out of control that the Combine engineered a virus,
A plague.
a flu that targeted all the Fae kids, coincidentally.
People wouldn't think much about this in the early days before medicine
I
was
say
really
this
big.
happened a while back.
Yeah,
like
well,
a long time ago.
1800s, maybe
And here's
early
the other
1900s
thing is that
the
I feel
newest.
like maybe Fae don't decompose the same way humans do.
Well, largely, unless something artificial happens to them, they're immortal. So, yeah, I'm not sure they do.
So their
decompose the
bodies
same.
would still be preserved.
Yeah, they might be a little emaciated and stuff like that,
Sure.
but yeah, they're still there.
Yeah.
Like just add water, right?
Right, so basically this engineered war crime is part of the justification
yeah.
of our brain villain to have engineered this bit of vengeance.
Yeah, so our genius here, who we're saying, are we going with the whole, this is a Fae, like queen of some sort, or a Fae
I don't think that
heiress?
at this point that she even has to be a queen or an heiress. I'm saying she is a Fae who basically doesn't like the power that the Combine has.
She
and
sees them as authoritarians.
And the fact that they wiped out these changelings is maybe enough for her to say, look, here's my proof.
Right. So this is kind of like a fuck you guys don't deserve your power kind of thing.
Bringing their mistakes back to rub in their face.
Right. So
Right.
she brings, of course, one of the most egregious things you can think of, the fact that they had wiped out children to stop the Fae invasion.
So it summons some sort of demonic soul entity that raises all of the Fae dead at once and wields them as one body.
Right. I mean, think about how...
Oh,
Yeah,
one body?
Well, it's separate and as one. So
Well,
it's
like-
like puppeting 30 beings at once.
So we talked about that glamour, though, that was transmitted through the street lights and stuff like that. So it's like, hey, mister, got a quarter? And then the light goes out, and it's a legion of these things all twisted and everything.
Right, like they distort and you can tell that they're not human.
Yeah, there's
World
something not
War
right.
Z with emaciated toddlers. With
Not
giant,
toddlers.
Well,
creepy
not
black eyes.
toddlers.
Upwards of young teen, I think.
I think, yeah, 10, 12.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, like 10 is probably the young side. 8, 10 young side. And then upwards of 12, maybe.
I don't
And
know.
remember
I
what
don't-
happened-
I don't
14?
care about a few kids in there, like a few young
I
ones.
know, it just makes me
Because
sad.
comic relief, right? Little
Is that
emaciated
comic?
baby
Oh my
that,
God.
Oh, it's
that giggled, and you're like, ugh, get,
Right.
Awful.
get that thing away from
No,
me.
I mean, come on, Pet Cemetery. That was the best thing.
Oh, it's
No fair,
horrible.
Daddy.
Yeah.
No fair.
Oh, and in the
Ugh.
Mouth of Madness, is
Yeah.
this is mommy's day. Ooh, no, get that away from me.
Right?
I don't
You would
know.
so punt that thing like
Children
50
are
yards.
horrifying. So what's
Dude,
nice
evil
about this?
children are, and I'm telling you, there has to be one that does nothing but hum sweet little songs because that is the creepiest
That is
shit
good.
ever.
That is good. I like that. But remember what happens
Yes.
to a
Oh my
corpse.
God.
Where the whole mythos of the vampire comes from. Okay? So the first thing that happens is everything dries out. Okay? It dehydrates. So the skin peels away from the nails, which makes them look like they've grown to talons. You know, the gums go away from the teeth, which make the teeth elongate. And it causes them to actually bleed a bit around the mouth. The stomach distends from gases and liquids and all kinds of stuff. So this is a gross,
It's a
off-colored,
ghoulish sight.
veiny, clawed,
So-
fanged being.
I think that
This
it's
is an
creepier
urban
if
fantasy.
you don't like completely
Toddler.
distort them, though.
No, they still look human-esque, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what's great is we were going for for an urban fantasy, but there are definitely horror aspects in this.
I mean, yeah.
You know, so it's like because our guy in the end is still human.
Okay, I have a problem now
Why?
that
What's
we
that?
mentioned this. How is our guy gonna fight kids?
Well,
They're
technically, he's
monsters.
got to fight the soul that's animating them. 'Cause, I
know,
mean,
but like,
there's
what do
infinite
you
corpses.
do? And I feel like
So-
he's gonna have that problem. Like, what do I do? This is a
But
kid.
that's great storytelling. You should have that problem. That should be an issue.
I would
It's like,
go with
how the fuck do
An
I
en-
handle this?
an enchanted double-barreled shotgun filled with rock salt.
What? Why? What? Why?
'Cause,
The
you know,
rock salt's for ghosts.
There's a spirit animating them.
Iron? They're
You can load it up
fey.
with nails and stuff. Yeah.
What? No, I'm not talking about the shotgun. Oh my god.
What?
I'm talking about he can contain them. He can lock them up if he has iron.
I mean, they're undead. It's not the actual kids. They're gone. It's okay.
Oh, this is upsetting. I don't know how to do this.
yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. We might have to work a little bit on what we decide ends up being inside those.
And I think we're gonna freak the pizza guy the hell
things.
out.
Oh yeah,
Day
well,
one.
okay. So he sees this. The first thing he sees is a redneck shambling at them with no idea that that's a werewolf.
Right.
You know, that's the first introduction to this world he sees.
Right.
The question is, does our good guy? Did we decide on Clay?
Is that really what you're going with?
I don't know.
I'm okay with it. It's not bad.
For now. It's let's say it's a working name for the moment.
All right.
Does he let him use the Ray-Bans of true seeing?
No, I think that you mentioned that once the thing attacked him, that's when he could see what it was.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't until he like leapt on his
Okay.
car or whatever that it broke the enchantment. Oh no, that's not what we said. You said that our bounty hunter shot at it, and once he hit the werewolf, the glamour disappeared, and the kid
Okay.
saw it.
Or he can shoot the lamp. The lamp.
That's true.
It's,
Yeah, it'll kill the glamour. So
You're assuming the werewolf doesn't have his own glamour.
yeah, well, I mean, I'm also assuming that he's attacking this guy for some reason. So
Right.
I'm just saying he's playing outside the rules already. Why would he bother to have
Yes,
some
he's
of the
attacking a bounty hunter. That's not like putting the combine on your ass.
Well, then again, this might be a bounty that he was in the middle of before the actual main
Could be.
story's bounty.
Well, no, that's the whole point.
regardless,
We're
it's
introducing
all
characters there.
details.
But, okay.
So basically, something breaks the enchantment, and the kid is able to see the supernatural being, and he's like, "Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!" And at that point, the council is the combine is basically like, "Hey, this kid knows about all this because of you. His life is in your hands
Yeah,
now."
now he's your ward.
Right.
So okay, let's rewind a little bit though. Soldier villain.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a singular entity behind all of the changelings?
Yeah, that
I
was
think so.
Do we
Kinda
have a
what's going
name?
One mastermind.
some sort of
Is
demonic
it
thing.
is it intelligent or is it just
Wait,
like
I
a
thought we said she
vengeance?
was Fae.
she is, but we're talking about
The summoned creature that's
there's-
animated.
Yeah, this isn't her
body.
controlling these as
you're saying
puppets.
she's not controlling them.
She's
she
summoned the
has
thing
something.
that is. Yeah.
Well, yeah, well, we don't have to, but my idea was it was one demonic entity.
Yeah,
was
we were saying that
inhabiting all these.
maybe
at
this is
once.
like a Bodak demon or something like that.
I
That's
don't know what that is.
they prey on fear and stuff like that. So
Well, that'll do it.
right.
Okay, so then he doesn't actually need to kill the kids. He needs to kill this demon.
Right.
And
But
then
it's,
that will
demon
still
is
leave
controlling all
our
the children.
fae who
However,
summoned that
you know,
thing.
when a clawed child is jumping at your face and you got a shotgun in your hand,
When
things
a
happen.
legion of these things is coming at you.
I still think he would try to restrain it
Because
with iron first.
they released a plague in, I don't know, we said maybe this is taking place in Cleveland. So that could be, 10,000 children? I mean, no, I'm sure he didn't raise that many all at once.
Well, they're all fae, so
yeah,
that's
we're
a-
talking just the
probably
changelings.
hundreds?
I'm saying that they had
I don't know.
But-
the council noticed a large influx
Yeah,
of
but that
fey creatures.
Like you said, that could be hundreds.
or maybe
you know.
even 1,000 or so.
But I'm sure
That's a fucking lot of dead kids.
I'm sure he's only I'm
Sure.
sure he's only controlling 20, 30, 40 at a time. You know.
40.
Well,
Really?
it depends on the needs.
I
you know?
say 20.
Let's play a game.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Got a quarter.
this is creepy. I'm sorry that it was my idea to do demon children, but this is creepy.
But yeah, so the Bodek is probably somewhere nearby when these things. are
Okay,
happening.
that works really well because then we can still leave our mastermind behind it and kill that demon instead of him focusing on the children.
Right, but this thing now we gotta remember this isn't going after working title Clay for now. Right?
No, it's probably targeting people in the combine.
Yeah, right. It's targeting a sorcerer, and that's what brings the attention, and that's when the bounty goes up, And so
How is it going to reach these sorcerers when they're behind the veil all the time?
I don't think they are all the
No,
time.
they-
I think they live among us.
I was to say, yeah, suburban house or something gets raided, a bunch of people get killed. It's in the news.
The average person doesn't know who's a sorcerer and who's not. Somehow this person does, and that's what causes this to be a bounty.
Maybe she's the one who survived the plague.
How do you follow a lead like that?
Maybe I don't know.
Because like when it's reported in the news,
This
it's
is
not
going to be the mystery thing, right? We're going to have to figure out how
Right.
she knows and how he.
Well, that's what this
how
episode is
Clay
for. We
doesn't.
need to define the villain.
Well, okay, we haven't named her yet, so we don't need to name the Bodek, or we're going to name it.
I will come up with something
I
that
don't know
sounds
that
like a
we need
demon
to.
name with apostrophes. I don't know.
Okay. Apostrophe L.
God.
Oxford comma.
No.
Okay.
They summoned him from the Grimoricon.
Okay.
Sorry about those bad jokes. Okay, what about her? The girl who's behind the Bodek.
Yeah. What about her?
What do we name her?
I mean, we'll get to it. I mean, I don't know
Whoa,
that we have
this
to nail
whole
this.
episode is about coming up with the fucking villains. We couldn't even give her a name.
Lily.
I was gonna say something, that could exist in
Like non-threatening.
turn of the century.
Janice.
I was thinking
Janice.
something more beautiful than that,
Rosemary.
Annalise.
Yeah, that's or Rosalind.
Annalise is good. That sounds.
What's that?
Annalise,
Sounds pretty.
which is really just anal ease, said quickly.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Isn't it also a flower?
Probably.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. There's a lot of like longer named flowers, like amaranth or something, or
What the fuck's an amaranth?
or marigold. Yeah.
Cactus.
Cactus.
Peyote.
Slippery elm.
Yeah. Peyote.
Nah, I don't know about that one.
It's worth a try.
I mean, not yet. Someone's bound to name their daughter that at some point.
Anyway, okay. So, is the Fae, our big bad Fae, is her motive entirely to get revenge on what was happened to these children and to take down this combine?
Yeah, I think that in her head, she believes that the Combine are bad guys, that they're largely worse for the world than they are good for the world.
Right, and she's got proof in these children.
The
But-
sad thing is that if she has this level of power, she could have won. She has the element of surprise. She has ability, and she already knows who she's going to attack, and they don't know she's coming. However, she decides to do, poetic justice and make
And
their
draw it
sins
out. Right.
visited upon them, and
And
that
expose them
That's not
further.
bad.
I think she wants to
Is-
expose them to the magic community,
Yeah.
and that's what the children are for, dramatic effect.
Well, we bring up the children as a singular crime, but maybe we do come up with a couple of more crimes that they were responsible
Okay.
for. And
sort of
yeah,
like 7,
because
and
if
he's
that's
got to
what
detective it out.
yeah, because if that's what they're doing,
Good lord.
No, the movie 7. You know, like
Oh,
I'm saying, like
okay.
you might have like 3 or 4 crimes, and you spell it out.
right,
with
right,
these-
glutton and greed and
Okay, so I'm saying like maybe the children, like 1 or 2 other things, like maybe executed magic individuals who are truly innocent, and the Combine didn't do their due diligence before they.
yeah, and the Bodek could do that's the thing. So in that case,
So the same monster can bring them all back,
right.
but it would be different instances.
So it's using undead.
and I don't even think they should be recent. You know, like these should be things from like forever ago. So maybe
the
one
last
of them
1,000 years.
is one of them is straight up zombie. You know, like it's falling apart and everything.
this town has only been around for like
True.
so long.
Well, I don't know. The Combine could be
The
inherited from
Combine
some
could have
group from
migrated
Europe.
here.
That's true. Well, the Combine exists all over America. So it's
Oh,
just,
that's true. They exist everywhere.
right. She's happens to be attacking here.
Right.
You know, at the few that are here.
I just feel that whatever their
Maybe
sins
the
did,
issue with the children happened here. So
right.
the scale of it is horrific, but there's an argument to say, okay, I could see why they did it. Like the whole, invading immigration force. Okay, reacting by killing them with an engineered virus, not a good answer, but there was a problem they were addressing. So I don't think that what their sins, there should be some explanation that.
Well, yeah, witch burnings or something like that. And
But why would a council be
that's
behind
not
witch
bad.
burnings?
huh?
Why would the Combine be behind killing their own?
They aren't their own. The Combine sorcerers.
And the difference in our story
Heredi-
world.
hereditary witches.
Well, here's something you have to consider: is the women that were burned were just human women who were wrongly accused and suffered
Some
the
of them
wrath
could have been
of
real witches. It doesn't matter.
Well, you're talking history. I'm saying I have no idea what our
No,
story
no,
world is.
You're missing my point. Is there could have been a political reason why they got rid of those specific
That's true.
women,
Maybe they had
women.
seats on the board and they were fucking things up with the
Maybe
sorcerer.
there was one of them who showed up to point a finger and caused that woman to die. Because that's truly all it took, was somebody saying, oh, this woman is,
Oh yeah, there was 3 kids who were throwing themselves around on the floor, having fits, and saying that these witches were causing their convulsions.
Yeah,
right.
I don't
Like,
want to
literally,
explain
it
all
took
history
absolutely
away
nothing.
with our mythology, but it'd be okay to point out a
We
few.
aren't writing a big enough book for that.
No,
So-
but you know what I'm saying, where you say like all the big events were because this existed.
But you can't possibly do that when we're only pointing out 3 events. So calm down.
all
It's
right,
3 events.
I think that
I
ultimately
just think it gets
we
hokey
say,
if you do too much.
I think that ultimately we make the claim that the witch trials were exactly what they were, but like one of those victims was
No,
because
I don't mind the idea.
Yeah, that's
that
fine.
it was politics. That's why they killed their own.
I mean,
was
and
because-
essentially,
because at one time it wasn't all sorcerers. It was sorcerers and witches and other types of magic
well, it
users.
was just
and they exterminated
first
the
of all
witches
that
for power.
people
Okay.
are bad, and second of all that these women were independent, or like there was something they exhibited that somebody didn't like. And so that's all I'm saying, is that while most of them, it was what it was, I'm saying we claim that one of the victims was because of the council.
Okay, just to clarify, when your concept of a witch is someone who randomly gets the ability on their own and isn't working within the confines of the Combine.
No, I was saying that they are hereditarily
The witches are,
given power, right?
and the Combine's not.
Well, I don't know. We didn't clearly define how the sorcerers get their power.
What do you
I
mean
assume
the
so-
Combine's
The
not?
sorcerers were willed to power, if we're following the old,
Okay.
so that they actually learned power, whereas the witches are given power hereditarily.
Okay, so it's just that one group doesn't trust the other group.
And they took them out for power purposes, for politics.
I mean, I could see if it's like we have these rules and they won't abide.
It doesn't really matter how it happened.
Okay.
It was just a possibility.
Maybe it was one singular witch, and she happened to be a threat to their power.
Maybe,
Maybe she was powerful enough.
but
Then again, if that's the case, I don't think we can do the witch trials. Like, those were just humans, and they didn't have enough power to kill
and
somebody.
they didn't take place in the city we're putting this in. So,
right.
It could have just
So it
been
has to be
one
something,
woman.
yeah, like one woman in a different scenario, and she was just too powerful, so the council took her out.
But nonetheless, yeah, we need a few scenarios to put it all together, not just the children. Although the children are fucking horrifying.
Yeah, no.
a couple of
It's
different
cinematic.
things where in the end we put it all together and we realize that these are all things, all crimes that the Combine committed. And that's why this one. And so it almost seems, I think it needs to almost seem at that point that this woman has a good point. You know, but in the end, they are the one force keeping
the magic users in line,
well,
keeping
yeah,
the magical
keeping chaos
community,
keeping chaos at bay.
right, and
you
keeping
know.
humanity relatively.
Does
safe.
it mean it's right?
No, they're not always right, and I think that's
Maybe.
evident by the fact that they killed a bunch of kids. Obviously, they're not always right. They've made mistakes.
So
They've swept it under the rug. They're not always right.
So maybe the end of this comes to a call for democracy in that community.
Or definitely people questioning their power,
Reform, you know, something.
questioning their authority.
Yeah.
It
maybe
doesn't have to come to
electing
anything.
their board or something. I don't know.
Something, yeah. 'cause
Maybe
it
they
can't-
want to say.
Yeah, it can't possibly end up being that the sorcerers maintain full power, you know, and nobody else has a say.
I mean, I still see them holding power, just reorganizing exactly who
I
sits
agree.
where.
Still holding power, but now there's a question on their authority.
But I do feel that while it'd be easier to write this in action, one beat to the next beat, let's see where this goes, let's write this in, okay, now we need to put this in to make it all make sense. Easy enough to do. We've done it before. This feels like it's going to be best told as a detective story, and that means we have to have so much of it pretty much done and then go back and rewrite it all over again several times until it's breadcrumbed all the way through, so it feels like a discovery
We
to
need
the
to
reader.
write the story circle backwards.
Oh, God.
And
Layered,
and
detailed.
Yeah, put the clues in so that he figures it out. So, but I like what we got. I think this is good. Are we going with Annalise for the
Not spelled however you're pronouncing it.
Annalise,
Annalise?
that's fine.
Okay. We'll respell it so it doesn't say Annalise.
If we must. All right, but I think we got a good compromise on the villains, considering where we started.
Yeah, I think it's good.
I think it
All
just came from we weren't seeing each other's point of view. We weren't understanding what we're saying.
right. Okay.
You know.
Anything else?
No.
Do we got news?
No, the only thing that I have is that I did a written interview with another author, Nicholas Adams. So if you guys want to check out that interview that he posted on his blog, you can go to thedarkandstormynights.vegvaseermedia.com, and it's posted on our website. You can go there. All the links are there, and go check out the interview.
Don't forget to follow us at the Dark Stormy K1. What else you got?
Oh, I was going to say, don't forget to check out the books that he has up to. They're also in the link, so just go check out the link that I posted.
And go to at Nova Drake Writer on Twitter, and she's got a couple of books for sale. Go check that out, and we'll see you next week.